Salutations. How to remain peaceful in 2025 and beyond. How to remain peaceful in 2025 and beyond, and how to remain peaceful from this very moment, in fact. So, what do you do? What do you do when you're out there in society playing the game of life and people try to send negativity down your way? You're driving, someone cuts you off, then they swear at you like it's your fault. You get to work, your boss is in a terrible mood, so they're on your case the entire day, or your supervisor, whoever's there, on your case the entire day. You get home, your partner's in a terrible mood, so they're on your case the entire evening. What do we do? What do we do when other people send negativity towards us? Right? Do we respond? Like my former self, you get worked up, you swear at the person back in traffic, swear at them, chase them down, have a verbal altercation with them, make them roll down the window, and you guys have a verbal altercation with them and you scream at them back. Is that what you do? No, because that's all low vibrational activity. Low vibrational activity. What I've come to find and come to learn through observation, through experience, is that at any given moment in the society, no matter where you go, no matter what country you're in, no matter what industry, where you are, only about 10% of people, only 10% of folks have it together. They've got their stuff together. And what I mean when I say they've got their stuff together, I'm not talking about money. Yes, that is a byproduct of having your stuff together, is fiat currency, being able to manage it properly and also being able to generate it. It is also a byproduct of having your stuff together. But I'm talking about the women and men that are mentally sound, right? Sound of mind, sound of heart, and sound of spirit, right? Their daily practices that they engage in on a daily basis allows them to stay in a Zen mode, almost, right? They're in charge of themselves. They're intentional about their lives. They're intentional about their actions. They're intentional about what they say, what they do, how they move. Everything that they do is intentional. They are not on autopilot. Everything that they do is intentional. And I find at any given moment in time, we all come in and out of that 10%. We go into it, we come out of it, that 10%. At any given time, right? Go into the 10%, we come out of the 10% at any given time, because we're not always going to be able to maintain that state of being. You're a human being, so at times you're going to slip, and then you're going to go out of the 10% and go into the 90%. Now, who do we have in the 90%? What constitutes the other 90% of people? Who are these people, and why am I placing them all in that one category? And I know it's when I say it sounds bleak, out of all the people in the world, only 10% have it together. Yes. If you look around the world and you see what's going on, you'll see that in any industry, go to any country, any place, you'll find about 10% of the people there run everything. They are in charge of everything. All the industries, everything that is servicing that nation, that city, that country, only 10% of people are in charge of that. Because they are in charge of themselves, right? They are in charge of themselves. They are self-regulating, self-aware. Then you have the other 90% of people that we fall in and out of at times. We go into the 90% as well at times. Then there's all the people that are not self-aware. They're not aware of their own crap. They're not aware of their own bull crap, right? Then you have what you could call NPCs, and people that are here, the lights are on, nobody's home. They're just out there, right? There are people dealing with trauma. They're traumatized, they're hurt in a certain way. Because remember, trauma can make you look foolish. Trauma can take a wise man, a sound, smart, intelligent man, and if he's traumatized enough, or woman, and if they're traumatized enough, start behaving like a fool. They'll begin to behave like a fool because of trauma. Then amongst the traumatized, amongst the NPCs, amongst the ones that are not self-aware, right? You also find the special kids in society. Something's wrong with the avatar in terms of their brain and how they process information in life. They're a bit special. I don't want to use the R word or any other word that's there. They're not restarted. I'm going to say it like that. I don't want to use that word because YouTube doesn't like the actual word. It's not PC. But they're special. They have mental needs. They're mentally challenged. They're a little bit different, a little bit special. Amongst that 10%, that 90%, I mean. And amongst the 90%, then you have the people that are fighting demons. Right? Dealing with their demons on a daily basis, and that's most of us. Most of us. Dealing with their demons on a daily basis. So if you're aware of this information that I've shared with you now, that only about 10% of people are sound-minded. Sound of heart, sound of mind. When a person is sound of heart, sound of mind, they have no desire to disrupt another person's life. They have no desire to disrupt another person's peace. They have no desire to engage in low vibrational activities like swearing at each other, fighting each other, sending negativity towards each other, because they are aware that that negativity is going to come back to them in some form. One way or the other, it will come back to you. The universe doesn't care who started the engagement. The powers that be don't care who began the fight. If he saw at you, right, he sent negativity to you, now you're sending negativity back to him. From you sending it out to him, you're sending negativity from your vessel out into the ether. It must come back to you in another form. It must come back to you. Maybe later on in the day, you met someone who fluked you on the road, you fluked them back, then later on in the day, you go order food and the lady standing there is very rude to you. And you don't know why. But you created that moment from the moment you fought with that guy on the road. So people who are sound of mind, sound of heart, sound of spirit, are aware of this and they're aware that they should not engage in low vibrational activities. So when someone is swearing at them, or swearing at you out there, or fighting with you, or sending negativity your way, you should feel sorry for them. You should feel sorry for them. And I'm not saying we should go around making excuses for people's behavior, but you need to understand where some of that behavior stems from. We need to understand where some of that behavior stems from. Because maybe the life that they live is not conducive to allowing them to become a more sound person. They don't engage in meditation. They don't engage in any spiritual practices. Therefore, like the last one I mentioned, they're more susceptible to being influenced by demons. I believe in demons. I believe in the unseen. Just like I believe in my imagination. Like right now, I can imagine myself in a position in life where I have enough fiat currency that I can fly across the world and see my best mate in Australia whenever I want to see him. I don't have to dream and plan to say, oh, when I'm going to go. I can see that in my head. I can see myself sitting in first class. It's not here. No one can cut my brain open and open my skull and see those images there. They might put my mind and put me onto sensors that sense the neurons and the electrical activity in my brain to try and map out an image on a computer as to what I am seeing. Because AI can do that now. It can kind of see what you're seeing. Not exactly, but kind of. But at this point, no one can cut into my head and see that thing. It's in another world. It's in an intangible world. Even this phone that I'm speaking through right now comes from a realm unseen. Someone had to imagine it and bring it into this world. From the spiritual into the physical. From the metaphysical to the physical, right? So I believe in demons. And when a person is not engaging in spiritual practices, they're not meditating, they're not being prayerful, they're not praying, they're not doing anything to elevate or to reset their spirit, they're more susceptible to being used by demons. So a demon can enter that person temporarily or put thoughts into that person's mind temporarily to make them mess with you. You're thinking that you're fighting with a person on the street, but it's a demon. It took control of their vessel for a second, or it put a thought into their mind because they're already in a negative frame of mind. So they're already vibrating with the negative thoughts, because whatever thoughts you send out, you're going to receive more of those thoughts. If you're thinking good things all day, more good things will come into you, right? So that person is more susceptible to the influence of demons than a person who practices spiritual practices. They meditate, they pray, they cleanse their spirit, they look after themselves and not just their body, but their internal being as well. So they're less likely to be influenced by demonic forces out there. So you're going to be fighting with a person, you're going to get upset, you're going to react to an individual that is influenced by a demon. And now because you're reacting to this person, you have now opened yourself to be influenced by these entities. Right? You've now opened yourself because now you're being negative. Now you've opened the door for these entities to come and mess with you as well. And if you don't believe in demons, maybe that individual is just not self-aware. They don't know who they are. They're not aware of their bullcrap. So now you are engaging with a person who does not even have the mental capacity to view life from another perspective. They don't see themselves as wrong. They don't see their actions as wrong. They don't see nothing wrong with what they're doing. You're at fault because they're not self-aware. Or they are special, mentally special. Are you going to get upset if you go to like the school for kids with special needs and one of them comes out there and he throws water on you, right? Or hits you with an egg or something stupid like that. And then you look at him and you're like, this kid has special needs. I can't get upset. You might get irritated temporarily and be like, hey, what the hell? But then when you get back, because you sound, they're not, you're a sound of mind. So you are, in this case, the adult, right? Because remember, sometimes physically, you may be younger than a person, but spiritually, you are the elder. You're old spiritually. They're still a kid. You might have someone who's 70 years old. 70 years old, they've got money, they've got wealth, they've got everything, but to you, they're a child spiritually. They're a kid to you spiritually. So you're looking at this child spiritually who's fighting with you and you're going to react. Why would you react to a child? They're a child. You have to look at it from that perspective to say, okay, this is a child. I'm not going to react like that. Because you are sound. Because a sound person has no desire to disrupt anyone's peace. They have no desire to cause harm to anybody. They have no desire to engage in any low vibrational activities because they are intentional about what they're doing. They're focusing on themselves, their lives, where they're going, what they're doing, what they're creating. They're enjoying the experience with themselves and the universe and people around them, and they're enjoying the experience with the people that love them and enjoy their company and they're not concerned about, reacting to people in the road because they understand that reaps no reward. What do you get from reacting, right? And I'm not saying we should be passive. The only time you shouldn't be passive is if someone comes and they put their hands on you, right? It becomes physical. Now they're threatening your life. Now it's demon time. Now they get to meet all the devils and demons that I've had chained up inside myself, controlling them to be a good person in society. Now today you get to meet them. You can meet them today because they've been chained up. I've been chaining myself up. But since you're putting me in this position, I have to defend myself. I must let my demons out to play. My demons and my devils must come out to play and you must meet them. But that is the only case. If a person's not physically in your space, they're not harming you, they're not taking anything away from you in real time, they're not taking no money from you, you haven't lost any time, they almost bumped into you, almost. it didn't happen. They stepped on your shoe, you can wash it off later. They spill something on you, it doesn't matter. They cut you off in line. If you are chilling that day anyway, who cares? You're still gonna get your food, right? Who cares? Your partner's in a negative mood, you come home, you understand that, okay, she's now temporarily gone into the 90%. As I said, you're going to drift in and out between 10%, 90%, and the 90%, because even myself and yourself watching this right now, you're going to have days where you're not sound. You're just not okay on that day. And people were able to see it. The people closest to you be able to see that this person is not okay today. Maybe the demons are messing with you. Maybe you're just not okay. Spiritually, something is off. But if you have sound practices that you and rituals that you engage in on a daily basis to bring you back to equilibrium, sooner or later and soon enough, you'll be back there. Some people, it's 5 minutes. They can go off the rails for 5 minutes and they're back and they're calm again. Others, it takes 5 hours. Some, it takes 5 weeks. Some, it takes 5 months. Some, God forbid, and make it quicker for them, it takes 5 years. For 5 years, a person would have been stuck in a mood, in a state for 5 years because of some stupid thing that happened to them 5 years ago. They're stuck in the state because of some stupid thing that somebody else did. Somebody else did. Now they're stuck in that state for 5 years. So in order for you to remain peaceful and be at more peace and not be affected by the negativity of others, you need to think like a spiritual elder, a big brother, right? When you're out there, so I always say, be the bigger person. You're the elder in this situation spiritually, because maybe you are engaging in practices and you are reading and learning knowledge that they have not even discovered yet. Maybe they don't even know what the imagination really is. They haven't really gone into this life. They don't know anything about spirituality. They don't know anything about demons. They don't know anything about guardian angels. They don't know anything about the metaphysical realm, and that there's other entities that can affect us, or they don't know anything about psychology, self-awareness, consciousness, all of these things. They've just been living in this world. They were born and they're looking around their life. They don't really know why they're here. They don't really understand why they're here. A lot of us feel that way. But they haven't asked questions. So they're just living and reacting to life. And those are kids. Whether the man is 50 years old and he's a grown man, he should have known better. Yes, he might be a grown man physically, but spiritually he's a child. He's a little boy to you, so you're not going to get frustrated by a little boy. You come home, your girlfriend is off. Okay, spiritually now for a little bit, for this 5 minutes, 5 hours, however long it's going to be, she's become a bit of a child. So you need to come from a parenting point of view, or big brother, to say, I'm not going to engage in their negativity. I'm going to repel their negativity with positivity. Someone cuts you off. You start straying. You apologize to them. Hey, I'm sorry, my man. I'm sorry. I'm a human being. I wasn't paying attention. I'm sorry. I know I could have hurt you. I could have bumped into you. I could have hurt you. I'm really sorry. It wasn't your fault. You don't care. What does it cost you? You don't want to lose any money. You're saving yourself time, and you're saving yourself a negative altercation. Get to work, your boss is in the mood, he's tripping, he's all over the place. He's trying to make you, he's trying to get at you. You can feel sometimes when people are trying to mess with you. They're doing it deliberately because they're suffering within themselves. Remember this. When people are out there and they're projecting, they're suffering within themselves, suffering with demons, suffering with lack of self-awareness. They are hurting inside of themselves. Because only people are hurting want to hurt others. They're projecting it onto someone else. You cutting that person off in traffic was not the reason he swore at you. The reason he swore at you could have been the other reasons. I mentioned his boss was tough on him. His wife at home was tough on him. Now you cut him off. Now you the outlet he gets to finally can release all this frustration onto this person. They choose you to release all their anger onto. It's got nothing to do with you. They're carrying that thing within themselves already. Now they just found an outlet. Especially if it's trauma. If a man is traumatized and is carrying a lot of trauma inside of themselves, the slightest thing, amplifies that trauma. So something small now becomes a big thing. It becomes massive because they're traumatized. It triggers them. Now it's a big thing. You stepped on his toe. Hey, you're going to step on my toe. Now there's a physical fist fight because it's not about the shoe or you stepping on his shoe. It's about the fact that he's carrying stuff inside of himself that he hasn't resolved. Now it's an outlet to take out all that pain because he believes if he takes it out on somebody else, he'll feel a bit better about himself. Because they're not aware. They haven't done any work on themselves. So if you're a wiser, right? If you're a wizard, if you're wise, because wizards, that's what it is. They're wise. If you're a wizard and you're out there and you see, okay, this person is still a kid. Let me just let it slide. To maintain your own peace because you're not wanting to send out negative vibrations into the universe because you know they're going to come back to you. So how to maintain your peace when you're out there is to realize that people are going through their own stuff. It's got nothing to do with you. Nothing at all to do with you. And everything to do with them, their level of consciousness, their level of self-awareness, their mental capacities, their state of being, them being influenced by demons running wild within themselves, whatever it is that is affecting them, it's affecting them. You are in charge of yourself. You are the sound being. You are the khutman, the big man in this situation. You are the more wiser, right? Even though we still have so much to learn, one thing you should know that you know nothing. I feel like I know nothing at this point in time. So I make these videos to remind myself and hopefully me sharing this knowledge into the universe will send more wisdom my way from other people. And I can watch others sharing such wisdom with myself because I feel like I know nothing. But with a tiny little bit of knowledge that I have, I can make my life better by not reacting to people who are not on the same journey as me. They're not on the same level. They're not part of the 10% that sound. They're in the 90%. And that's why I said earlier, 10% of people run everything because they are sound. And the rest fall into the 90% because they don't know what they're doing. They are reacting to life. They're not intentional about creating a life. They're not intentional about what they're doing. They're not intentional about their actions. They're not there. When someone bumps them, they jump and they react. They don't take a moment to breathe, to say, is this moment going to benefit me? Right? Think it through. What am I going to get from this? I can swear at this person, I've got the physical stature to break their neck. There's no way this person, I can defeat them in every single way I can defeat this person. But what do I gain out of it? I can get home and my woman is in a bad mood and I also start giving it to her and say, no, you need to grow up, you need to stop here. I can be like that. I can talk sense into them at that moment. And it's sensible. It would be logical coming out of my mouth. But a person in that state does not understand any logic. It comes in, but it is not processed with logic. It is processed with trauma, fear, by the demon, whatever they are going through, by a less sound mind. If the person is mentally special, right? They're not processing information. Doesn't mean so. You need to offer them kindness because it costs you nothing. The only time you should not be kind is if your life is in danger. If your life is in danger, there's no need for kindness. Now it's time for violence. But in other moments, and I'm speaking this as a reminder to myself, is you need to remain calm. Think about it. Think it through. What is this going to benefit me? Nothing. Did I lose anything? Did I lose time? Did I lose money? Are their words really going to affect me? Why am I giving them permission to affect me? Why am I letting their negativity and I'm opening the door for their negativity to affect me? No. So in order to remain peaceful in 2025 and beyond, is to realize when you're out there in society that 90% of people don't have their stuff together. So someone cuts you off in traffic, just an NPC, they're going through something, they're trauma. Make excuses for them. Make excuses for them because it will benefit you. You don't lose anything, my man. I'm telling you this right now. You're not going to lose anything. People might say, you're soft, whatever. But in the long run, you lose nothing. There's actually so much more to gain by being the bigger person. Metaphysically, spiritually, energetically, there's far more to gain by being the bigger person than to engage in negative behavior, low vibrational activity. Because while you're screaming and you're fighting and you argue with your wife, or you argue with your boss, or you argue with that lady at the counter, whatever it is that you do, you're coming to their level now. Now you're vibrating here. Now it's going to take you time to get back to your natural vibration that you're at. It's undoing work that you're doing on a daily basis. So in order to remain peaceful in 2025 and beyond, is to understand that only 10% of people out there are sound individuals. And if a person behaves in a negative way towards you, assume they are part of the 90% that is going through stuff, because you sometimes also fall into that 90% and you project your negativity onto others. But once you realize it, you go back to the 10% and you're intentional about your life and how you move and act. But do not let others disrupt your peace, because you understand they belong to that 90% of people who do not have their stuff together. They are not sound physically, mentally. However, they are now trying to pass on their pain to you. So you have to reject that pain and remain in your own peace. Do not allow them to come into there and disrupt your own peace, because as I've said, you benefit nothing from it. How do you stay peaceful in 2025 and beyond? Right? Pay no mind to the 90% and try by all means to find and hang around those 10% of people in society that are sound, that are positive, that are prayerful, that meditate, that have sound spiritual practices. Those are the people you need to be hanging out with, because those are the intentional people who live life intentionally, who release positivity all the time, and who will aid you into progressing fast in the game to where you want to be. And like I said, it's got nothing to do with money. So the teacher who's teaching because she wants to teach, that's intentional. The person who's an artist because they want to make art, that is intentional. They don't care. You could buy them a mansion in the city, put them in a penthouse overlooking the city and give them a sports car. That doesn't matter to them. They want to paint. That brings them joy, right? If you're looking at them from the outside and you're looking at how they dress, maybe, because some artists are very dirty, and you're thinking this person is this and that, you'll miss out on an opportunity to learn. Because those are the people you need to be hanging out with. And those are the people who will be able to assist you to remain more peaceful, because they're at peace with themselves. So they have no intention of disrupting your peace, because remember, the only people who want to disrupt your peace are those who are not at peace with themselves.